Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is Beyond the Forecast.
Welcome to Beyond the Forecast. So excited to bring you our very first episode. We hope you'll join us here weekly. We're really excited for it. And our very first guest is Val Castor, News 9's very first storm chaser, longest standing storm chaser now. And we're so excited to have you. How long have you been with News 9?
Oh goodness! So I would have to do some math on that one. But I started in 1991.
Okay.
So whatever that is in years, that's a long time.
A long time. And we just wanted to talk to you and just have a conversation about all the things folks may not know. They see you, they hear your voice. You cover fires, you cover ice, you cover snow, of course, severe weather, tornadoes, all the things that go on across Oklahoma. But there's so much more to Val Castor. And we're just excited to have a chance to talk to you in kind of a lengthier process.
Yeah.
So first of all, you're from Oklahoma. Can we just talk about the beginning, where you're from, your hometown, your siblings, how you grew up?
Okay, so yes, I'm from Oklahoma. I was born and raised here. I mean, I've never lived in any other state. So I was born in Ardmore.
Okay.
And don't hold that against me. And so we, from there, I would say when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, we moved to Tulsa. And so I stayed there for a while. We moved back to Ardmore for probably a year or so and then moved back to Tulsa. So I pretty much grew up in Tulsa.
Okay.
That's where I went, to school, to junior high and high school and all of that. So you could say I'm from Tulsa.
So as far as your love for weather, when did it start? What are your memories as a kid of being so passionate about Oklahoma weather?
Oh, that's kind of funny because, we used to do a lot of lake time when I was a kid. My parents water skied and fished and boated, so we spent a lot of time out at the lake. And I can just remember many, many times camping out in a tent, okay, and a storm would come up, and then we'd have to take down the tent real fast. And, I would be in the car and I would, look out and thought I might have seen a tornado, in the dark, but probably not. And then growing up in Ardmore, we had a storm cellar in the backyard. And anytime, back in those days, we didn't have David Payne, Gary England, and all the weather coverage.
No Val Castors?
Well, yeah, no storm chasers, obviously. And so anytime a storm would come up and it sounded bad enough, everybody would just go to the cellar, in the middle of the night. So they would come in, my parents would come in and get me and wake me up in the middle of the night and take us to the cellar, and we'd ride it out. And when it would quit storming, we'd get back out and, go to bed. So all these things kind of, make a difference and, make an impact, I guess you could say, on a person. And so when I was growing up, I was a little bit scared of tornadoes. Sure. I'm like, well, what if a tornado comes? And but as I grew older, I started becoming more and more fascinated, with tornadoes and fascinated with storms. And man, I'd like to see one, sometime.
Sure.
And so I got a present. I don't remember how old I was as a kid, but it was a NOAA weather radio.
Ooh,
and
fancy.
Boy, that was so cool. And so, I didn't use it for anything else. I mean, it had all these capabilities. You could scan this and scan that, but the only thing that thing stayed on was the weather radio. So I lived in Tulsa. And I would listen anytime there would be a storm coming in. I would stay up, all hours of the night listening to that weather radio. And if it looked like it was going to be bad enough, and if there was a warning, I would go in and wake my parents up at 3 a.m. and warn them, about the storm coming.
Cool.
So, as far as when I started, liking weather, I can't remember. I was probably born with it. And also we played a lot of sports, and my dad coached our baseball teams, and I played a lot of baseball as a kid, and I can just remember being out, on this field, and I played shortstop or infield positions, and I can just remember, time after time, it seems like that Tulsa didn't get as many good storms as, say, Oklahoma City and further west did. And I could see, tops of storms. I would look out playing baseball. I'd be looking out there, seeing tops of storms and anvils, thinking,
It's
man, look at that storm out there. Oklahoma City, they're getting all the good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then they'd hit the ball to me and I'd miss it, you know, that kind of stuff.
Distracted by it.
Distracted by the storms. But, you know, ever since, you know, I can remember as a kid, I've loved weather and particularly have loved storms. I just had no idea that anybody could make a living or anything like that chasing storms. I had no idea about it. So there you go.
So you decided to go to college and study meteorology. What was your plan? Or did you have one?
I didn't have a plan.
Okay, you just knew you loved it.
So my plan was to do whatever my friends were doing.
Okay.
Right, to go. So I started out at Tulsa Junior College. Just decided to get some of the credits out of the way to start with, and I worked at my dad's warehouse at that time, lifting paint cans, and it was a good workout, let me tell you that. Heavy stuff. And so I did that for about 2 years, and then I decided, well, I'm going to go to OSU because all my friends were going there, and so I decided to take general business because I really had no idea what else, you know. The parents wanted me to go to college, so I did it. Started getting into business classes. It was boring to me. I didn't really like it. Accounting came along, and I made a bad grade, you know, and then business law and all that kind of boring stuff, and I didn't like it. So my grades were kind of suffering, that and the fact that I was playing golf, skipping classes, and stuff like that.
Might have had a small.
That might have had a small. You kids out there, don't do what I do. And so I had decided that I'd better get into something that I really like, you know. But the only thing I really liked was weather. But OSU did not offer anything, a meteorology degree. You had to go to OU to get that. So, you know, after looking at it, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to OU, but what I'm gonna do here, since I'm so close to graduating, I'm gonna transfer over to geography, which, you know, that's pretty close to weather, and it had some of the same
department, yeah,
classes in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish out the degree here in geography, and I'm gonna take enough classes that would transfer over to OU, you know, and then transfer down there next year. And so that's what I did. I graduated with a degree in physical geography from OSU, and then transferred down to OU and started meteorology. And tell you what, it's tough. That's when the fun started.
For sure, you have to love it in order to go
goodness.
through it. So while you were going to school and you were studying it and doing all of that, were you going out and chasing? Were you getting into going out and driving a car towards storms, which was just really unheard of at the time?
Yeah, it was unheard of at the time. And you know, about the only thing I kind of did back then was every now and then, me and my brother Vaughn, you know, when I was going to OSU, we might, if there was a storm nearby, I'd just go look at it. I mean, it wasn't anything big, no big deal at all. But I didn't start chasing right away when I got to OU, but me and some of the other students, I had a couple friends that thought it would be cool to kind of learn how to chase and go out and do it. So we kind of started doing that, me and a couple of the students there, and we kind of taught ourselves, you know, how to chase. But the first, I guess you could say, real chase I went on, and I want to say it was either 1986 or 1987, that's a long time ago, good night, was a friend of mine said, hey, I got this friend, okay? And he's a good storm chaser. Let's just follow him, you know?
There you go.
So that's what we did. We made arrangements, and it was Jeff Petrowski.
Oh, that's amazing.
Jeff Petrowski. So we followed Jeff Petrowski.
And you did what Jeff does?
Yeah, I mean, I tried.
Tried.
I mean, I couldn't keep up with him.
Sure.
I mean, he was driving so fast, I just could not keep. I had a 1985 half-ton Chevy truck with a 305, carbureted 305 in it. It wasn't very fast, you know, and he was leaving me behind. I mean, it was against the wind, granted, going down I-44.
Sure.
So we went into North Texas, and we were just following him. We didn't really know what we were doing until we finally saw a tornado that day.
So that was your first tornado?
That was my first tornado. It was near Monday, Texas. And I wish I could remember the exact date, but I can't. But it was right in that time period. And I thought that was so cool. We stopped at a Wichita Falls television station, and I guess he sold the video to them. You know, I guess that's how they did it back then. But got to pick up some video and stuff like that, and it was really cool. That was the first real chase we went on, and then there's more stories after that.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah. How many tornadoes do you think you've seen? If you had to guess, or ballpark, can you?
I would say that pretty close to 1,000. Yeah, it's hard to know for certain because I never really kept track back in the early days of how many tornadoes. Now I started writing it down, you know, when I started working at Channel 9, and it's probably approaching 1,000.
That's unreal.
That's a lot of tornadoes.
A lot of tornadoes. So when you were chasing and then you started taking a camera, just talk to me. I want to hear the technology that goes into it, because we're so used to now. I mean, there's storms going on. People want to see that live video, and they get that live video instantly, but no one really understands how far we've come. Many people don't understand how far we've come from what you guys did in the beginning, especially you.
Well, so you talk about how has technology changed and what kind of technology did we have back when we first started. We didn't have any. I mean, there was no technology.
What was in your truck?
Right, there was the technology. I had a handheld scanner.
Okay.
All right, I could listen to sheriff, you know, talking about, or maybe a ham radio operator talking about what they're seeing if I was in range to hear them talk. That's all we had, and the weather radio. Obviously, we could get on that, and they had stations all around. So back then, when we first started, that's the only technology we had. We didn't have cell phones. We had to stop at a payphone if we wanted to call somebody.
You had cash
we
on
had
you.
Cash. we had dimes and nickels and quarters, you know, to pay for the cell phone call. But the thing about those days is you really had to make a good forecast before you left, because after that you were going by sight, and that was it. And if it was a cloudy, overcast day and you couldn't see storms going up, you know, 80 miles to the north, I mean, that was it. I mean, you were stuck where you're at. You had no idea what was going on unless you had a payphone nearby and you could call somebody that had access to a radar. But, you know, that obviously changed over the years. And as I started working for Channel 9, we had no way to get live video back. I mean, I can't tell you, myself and the other chasers, the thing we were thinking about the most was, how can we get this live video? We're seeing a tornado.
Yeah.
It's right here live. We would love to get this back to the station to have them see what we're seeing. We just kind of had to describe it, you know, over the phone. Oh, it looks like this, it looks like that, it's moving this direction, it's getting stronger, it's getting bigger, all that kind of stuff. So as far as getting video, and I'll never forget this, we had, I don't know, you know Fig Newton?
Yeah.
Okay. He drove
A long time
photojournalist
here.
Yes.
And was he an engineer also
He was
in
an
the SAT
engineer.
truck?
Back then he was an engineer.
Yeah.
And so he drove, and it wasn't the SAT truck back then.
Okay.
It was a flatbed trailer with a satellite dish on it. Okay.
Wasn't an actual SAT truck?
No, it was a flatbed trailer with a satellite dish.
I didn't even know that existed.
Well, it did. And so, unfortunately, it existed. And so there was a 3500 Chevy, so it was a 1-ton Chevy, and it was red, painted red with Channel 9 on it. The trailer was red.
Fancy.
And he drove the Chevy pickup, the 1-ton Chevy, and pulled the flatbed, and I want to say it was a gooseneck trailer, pulled it around, and you know, if you're lucky enough to be near the satellite truck, they could hook up a camera and you could send back something like that. But back in those days, we really didn't have the capability of sending live video. What we would do is send back our feed. So we would go in and we would replay the video, and he would find it. So the process in that would be, he would have to stop the truck, okay, and drop down some jacks to level the truck. So he would get it level, put his little level out, you know, and get the thing level. And it might be lightning, it might be raining, it might be all this, hailing even.
Right.
And Fig was out there doing that stuff, you know. And so he would level it out, and he would have to find the bird. That's what he called it. I have to find the bird, you know, and get it locked on. And then we could feed our video. And so we would always have to do that before the 10 o'clock. So we might have to show up at 9 or 9:15, you know, and find him wherever he was, and then do that.
So if a tornado is on the ground, you're going to go find the closest payphone, call it in, and then hope to show the video in the 10 o'clock newscast,
Right.
however long after.
Yeah, because, I mean, it at some point along the way, we did have cell phones, and we could talk about it while we were shooting the
You had the
video,
bag
but they
phones.
couldn't see it. Bag phones, that's right. So that's the way we did it back then. And so the very first year that I was with Channel 9, they had me driving one of the S10 Blazers, okay? And so I was taking a photographer and a reporter with me. Most of them really didn't want to be out there. They wanted to go stop and eat somewhere. That's what engineers do all the time, it seems like. But
And you're driving them into impeding
things they don't
danger.
want to be
Absolutely not.
I mean, and I'm like, let's go. We can't sit here and wait. What are you guys doing? And so the satellite truck would have to follow us, okay? So Fig, pulling the flatbed trailer, would have to follow us, and it had a top speed of 55 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
the storm
That doesn't
chasing
cut it.
mentality, that just does not cut it.
Yeah.
And so we had, for the first year, I had this, and we called it our ball and chain. Because we
course.
had to drag around our ball and chain. And I mean, that's the way we did it. It was kind of frustrating.
But it was cutting edge.
It was cutting edge. There you go. That's cutting edge back then. Crazy.
So how did you get hired as a storm tracker? How did that whole process go down?
I was hoping you'd ask that question. So we, like I said, we were chasing, and this was my senior year down at OU. Okay, I was taking high-level meteorology classes like meteorological instruments, and so this was a class. Dr. Fred Brock, nice guy. He was our instructor. We had probably 12 people in our class, and so April 26th of 1991.
Okay.
All right, you remember that was a day that you might not have even been born back then. I don't know.
I was alive.
Okay.
Yes. As a kid, I was alive.
So we knew it was going to be a big day a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean, just by looking at the data. I mean, back then the data was Difax maps.
Right.
Getting printed out
Actual
on the printer.
printed
Look at that,
paper.
Right. And so we knew it was going to be a big day, and half of us in there chased, okay? And so Dr. Brock, we knew we had a test at 2 o'clock in the afternoon that day, a big test. So we petitioned Dr. Brock, raised our hands, said, hey, I got a question for you. Looks like it's going to be a big day next week, the day of the test. Can we move the test up to say 10 in the morning?
Nice.
And he agreed, we're like, okay, yes. Well, it did turn out to be a big day. We got our test done, got out of there about noon. I'd already parked my car, probably in the meters, I was probably probably had a ticket already from it, but we got out in it, and we just took off. I mean, we already had our lunches packed and ready to go, and I had one of my friends with me, and so we headed north. All right, so when I got north of Oklahoma City, man, I could see these big towers going up to the northwest. I didn't really know a lot about chasing back then. I was still learning. So we went northwest. I remember we went through southwest of Enid, Canton area, little towns around there, and these towers were just exploding. And I don't even remember the synoptic, conditions that day, where the dry line was. I think it was further out west, but I mean, these towers were going up hard. So we followed it, got under it. It went right over Enid and produced a tornado east of Enid. And so, we saw it. And I mean, it was probably, I don't know if you remember the Arnett tornado. It looked a lot like that.
Absolutely.
Maybe an F2, maybe a high-end F2, something like that. But we got pretty close to it. What I would call close back then was maybe a mile and a half.
But yeah.
And that was, I thought,
not having radar to pinpoint it, yeah.
That's right, no radar. We had CBs that we communicated on. Another friend of mine was following us, in the truck, in his truck, his car. So we saw it, we pulled off the side of the road, and we're like, man, this is so cool, and we could see debris. And this was somewhere near Breckenridge or something like that, east of Enid. And that thing continued, and then it lifted. Man, we were so happy. We finally saw a good, tornado.
Yeah.
And so that lifted. Then another one formed, and it didn't last very long. It kind of roped out, you know, and then we could see in the distance there was a bigger one coming down. Like, well, we need to get on the road. So we headed east, went all the way to I-35, okay, and then went north, and that was what became the Red Rock tornado.
Right.
So it was officially an F4. Had it went through a town, it would have been an F5.
And you saw it?
We saw it.
Wow.
And I thought I was so close to it. I went back later and found out where we'd stopped, and I was about 1.5 miles down the road from it. But I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You know, the wind was cranking. We watched it cross I-35 right there. Got video of it. And so that day, I had already kind of chased a couple of small chases for Channel 9. I had called up, and this is maybe 2 weeks prior to this, but I had called up Channel 9 one day just out of the blue and said, hey, you know, I'm kind of learning how to chase over here. You know, I'm a student at OU, and I was wondering if you guys needed anybody to chase for you. And I don't know if you remember who Alan Mitchell is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever met him?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Nice guy.
Yep.
He is an ex-military weather officer. I want to say Navy, but I can't remember for sure. Pretty gruff, you know, it just tells it like it is kind of a guy.
Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. So I called, you know, and they patched me back to the weather center. And I said, my name is Val Castor, and it was him that answered the phone, okay? And I said, my name is Val Castor, and I'm a student at OU, and I was wondering, I mean, I'm learning how to chase storms, you know, I can chase pretty good. Y'all need anybody to chase for you? And then I could just see Alan, you know, with his boots, kicked back in a chair with his feet up on the table, and I hear him yell at Gary, say, Gary, we got this kid on the phone from OU that thinks he can chase storms. And I'm like, oh, brother, what have I done? You know, and so he said, well, I'll tell you what. Gary says, come up to the station, and so we can meet you, and we'll lend you a bag phone, you know, and all that. So I went up to the station, and I got to meet Gary, right? And he lent me a bag phone. You know, this old Motorola, but to me, I didn't have a phone, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I was a college student.
You were uptown at this point.
I was a poor college student, yeah. I mean, and I was uptown, like, wow, we got a bag phone. We can call into the station. So I went out one time. The next time we went out after that, it was near Marshall. We saw a small tornado near Marshall. The helicopter got video of that, but I came back to the station, brought my video back. They were happy with it, you know. They thought it was really cool. They used it on the air. And Gary was so happy, he gave me a Channel 9 jacket that he had in the closet there. He said, I'll give you this Channel 9 jacket. So the next time we went out was April 26th that I was telling you about, the story I started with. And we got video of 3 tornadoes that day. And the Channel 9 photographers, I don't think they ended up getting anything that day. And so they were using all of my video. And needless to say, they were very happy to see me this time.
Yeah.
You know, so happy that Gary gave me an autographed book, one of his old books, you know.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, we got to figure out a way to get you on up here. And I said, that's fine. You know, I'm a senior. I graduate, you know, in May. And so he found a position for me as a floor camera operator. Now, I know you probably don't know what that means because they're all automated right now. But back in those days, they had these big cameras with the controls are like this, you know, the zoom and the focus and all this kind of stuff. And there was an opening for a floor camera operator. And
so that was the way to get you on the payroll.
That was the way to get me on to where he could start using me to chase storms. Because Gary was smart, and he knew that you know, management wouldn't go for hiring someone strictly to chase storms, because that was unheard of. They didn't do that. We didn't have anybody. They used reporters and photographers. And like I say, they didn't really care to be out there so much, it seems like most of them. Some of them did. So that's how I got on.
What show did you floor direct from?
So it was the news.
Okay.
All right. So it was just like I don't even remember if we had the 4 o'clock back then, but it was the newscast.
Into the evening?
Into the evening, and also the 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And then back in those days, we had to do like a Sunday morning church service. I can't remember what church, a huge church downtown. And we would go there and set up cameras and do that too as well. So that's how they got me on. And I didn't know a thing about cameras. Okay, we wore these headsets. We had engineers in the other room and directors, they called them, okay? And they would yell at me all the time.
Sure.
You know, like, camera
they still
three,
do.
pan right, camera 3, pan right. I mean, they still do that now. And it used to make me so mad, you know? I'm probably lucky I didn't get fired back then because I was a little different than I am now. But yeah, it made me so mad. And, camera 3, pan right. No, your other right.
Right.
You know, what are you doing? More headroom. You know, he'd just be yelling at me. And but I finally got the hang of it and learned how to do it. And so they had me back then riding around in the S10 Blazers, taking the photographers and basically rotating them out, teaching them how to chase. And they would put, you know, one photographer this week and another one this week and another one, and then a reporter would come too. Kelly Ogle used to come a lot with me.
Oh my goodness.
And that was before, he wasn't even an anchor back then. He was a reporter. He used to smoke these big old cigars. You know,
And come out and storm chase with Val.
That's right. And so it was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot different back then, and they guided me around a lot more back then. I used to say, man, just let me go where I want to go. You know, I know what's going on here. I can find more tornadoes if you do that. But that's how I started.
So you chased tornadoes and you were floor director. Then eventually, though, you got a job outside of the station. Because, I mean, a lot of people, that's one of the number one questions we get all the time about storm trackers, that I get about you, is, well, what does he do when he's not chasing? So what do you do outside of this now that you're out all over the country? I say all over the country, all over the plains usually, but sometimes you've gone hurricane chasing and all the things. What do you do outside of this?
So back then, I started a weather consulting business. And actually, Gary kind of taught me how to do it. And so I started out doing like forensic meteorology for lawyers, okay, attorneys in law cases that involve the weather. For instance, I remember, you know, a case about someone falling off of a roller coaster. You know, it was very, very windy. The roller coaster stopped. They got off. They started walking, you know, just kind of panicking, and the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour, and they fell off. And so I had to figure out the wind. And there's also cases involving ice, slip and fall, wrecks, and stuff like that. So I would do research for Gary, and he told me how to do it. And so I would put together these research papers for him to do that with. And then when I started my own business, I got into doing that. That's how I started. Then I did some forecasting, and then I did some hail reports and stuff like that. So that's what paid the bills. And being my own boss, I can leave whenever I wanted to. The problem is when I would get back at midnight or whatever time it was, I'd have a lot of work to do before I could even go to bed, you know, because of all the weather and hail that happened. And so, you know, that went on, and that worked out fine. But now, obviously, as you know, we're getting sponsors.
Right.
And so the sponsors are pretty much taking care of all of it right now.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is a great thing. I don't even have to do the weather consulting anymore. If someone wanted something like that, you know, we would still talk about it and do something.
Sure.
But, and I can also tell you, right now, since I have 6 kids.
Right.
So I've got 2 boys, and about 3 years ago, we started a mowing business. All right, and the main goal in this was not really to have something that would, you know, make a lot of money or anything like that. The goal was to teach the kids work ethic.
Sure.
Teach them how to work, get them off the phones, and that kind of stuff. So that was about 3 years ago, and that's kind of taken off a little bit more than what I really expected.
Yeah.
Right, and so I mean, we've got more business than we can really handle at the moment. We do large mowing for large acreages, and we also do land clearing, mulching, and that kind of stuff with a skid steer. So if anybody needs any of that kind of stuff, just give us a call.
That's amazing. So
I'll try to fit it in.
You
too.
find time to do that while also being a husband. So your wife, Amy, she chases with you.
Absolutely.
I'm sure most people know that. People love Amy. We love Amy. She's the brains behind the operation most of the time, as she will tell you. But you guys have 6 kids. You're now grandpa.
Absolutely.
How do you balance all of that with chasing? Because what people don't realize most likely is that, yes, you capture that video and you send it in, and maybe you're on air for 5 minutes, maybe you're on air for a couple of hours. The time before that and the time after that is all consuming.
Oh,
you do
my
a lot of
goodness.
things to make this work because Oklahoma weather is happening all the time.
It is. I mean, people like Lacey calls me at 4 in the morning and tries to get me out to chase ice storms and snow flurries and that kind of stuff.
Drizzle.
Drizzle. Yeah, and there is a lot going on. You just got to kind of balance it, and you got to kind of prioritize everything. I mean, that's the key right there, is prioritizing. And so something that you did not mention was we're very active in our church as well.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I'm the bus director at our church, and I take a bus out, one of 4 buses that we go around and pick up kids and bring them to church.
Right.
And that's time consuming as well. We got to go out and visit people.
Sure.
But we love it, you know. So the key there is to just prioritize and do the things that are the most important, you know, but you just got to keep going, you know.
We look at the forecast and we'll say, you know, David will send out a note and he'll text the trackers and say, hey, we're looking at Wednesday, potential chase day, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or this spring it was like Monday through Friday every day, and who's available. Talk a little bit about what you do on a chase day. If it's, okay, today's the day we're going out, what do you do to prepare, and what time do you usually get home? Because you're out in usually the Texas Panhandle to start.
So if I think it's going to be a chase day, this time of year, I'll make sure and get the mowing done early.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll go out and get out there at 7 or 8 in the morning and start mowing and make sure we get it done by 11 or 12, and then we'll come back to the house and get the trailers put up and then eat lunch and then get the chase truck ready to go. So I mean, on an average chase day, I mean, we're probably going to leave around noon, let's say.
Yeah.
And we'll be out there all day. Most days, I mean, it's never earlier than 10:30 or 11. Obviously, it'll be 10 o'clock news.
Sure.
But sometimes, I mean, it's 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's 4 in the morning.
Right.
You know, when we get back and stuff like that. But so it's an all-day thing. It's a lot of miles. I mean, an average chase day might be 500 miles, but I have driven over 1,000 several times on chases. I think 1,064 is my personal record, and that was going out by Lubbock and up to Amarillo and just kind of all around. 1,064 miles in one day.
That's unbelievable.
That's a lot of driving.
A lot of driving. How many vehicles have you gone through? Do you know?
Oh my goodness. You know, I want to say about 12 chase trucks, and when I get done with them, they're worn out.
There's nothing left of them.
That's right. They're hailed in it and they're worn out. Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture how far that is. I think that you probably know this, but if I were to give you a pop quiz, because you know, we say, hey, or David will tell you, or I'll tell you, or whoever, hey, here's your target area, or you'll say, hey, I want to go to this area.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it works. You just know Oklahoma towns, and you know how long it takes you to get there. So if you're at home and we're like, hey, get out to Clinton, how long does it take you to get to Clinton?
Clinton's going to be about 2 hours.
Enid.
Yeah. Enid's about an hour and 10 minutes.
What if you have to go to Altus?
Altus is about 2 hours and a half, maybe something like that, depending on how fast you drive.
What about Ardmore?
Ardmore, about 2 hours.
Those are usually the most common. One of somewhere out there. Woodward.
Yeah, Woodward's about 2 hours.
About 2 hours.
Yeah, Arnett, the Texas border, is about 2.5. Guyman's going to be 4.
4 hours.
Yeah.
So if you know you're going to be in the car that long, what's your tried and true? What do you have in the car with you that fuels you to get you? Do you have something that you always have? Or
caffeine?
Twinkies? Yeah. What is it? What is it that you take that you're like, this is my snack, or caffeine?
So I make my own energy drinks.
What?
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I make my own energy drinks.
Okay.
I bet you didn't know that.
No, had no idea. These are the things.
I mean, if I don't have one, I mean, I'll just stop and get a Monster.
Okay.
I don't know, you saw that video of the Texas state record hailstone.
Yes, the Monster can.
The Monster can, I just got to drinking that Monster can, and that's the one I get, the super dry.
Okay.
But I try not to do that a lot because it's got so much, sugar in it. It's not that great for you, so I kind of make my own. I put a little of this and a little of that in it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about food? What snacks?
We'll. I know this is going to sound funny, but I bring hard-boiled eggs.
Okay.
For protein.
Okay.
And I'll bring like power bars. I'll try to find the healthy power bars to eat. That kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of times we'll just go away without any food. We'll just stop and get something at the gas station.
Sure.
But on the long chases, when I know we're going to be out, we do bring food. I can't really, think of sandwiches, stuff like that.
Okay. Hard-boiled eggs.
Hard-boiled eggs.
So while we're listening to you in between.
I'm eating a hard-boiled egg and, I don't know, maybe a carrot and maybe it's hard
like
to
the
think
David
of.
Payne diet.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what he
Very
eats?
healthy things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. You got to avoid seed oils, and all that kind of stuff. I know that's a whole
So it fuels
other
you.
subject.
So listen, hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to keep doing this. You've been
Right.
doing it for a long time. You got to keep going. Whenever you think about why you do it, why you go through all of that, I mean, what you do it is crazy. It takes a certain level of crazy to do what you do. The most normal people, they're running away from the storms. You're always going toward it. Why do you do that? What draws you to it? And why do you think it's important to go out and do that?
Well, what drove me to it initially was pure craziness, I guess you could say, adrenaline. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to do things like race motocross and ride bulls. Storm chasing is kind of extension
adrenaline
of that.
junkie type.
It's an adrenaline type of a thing. And so that's kind of how I started, because I thought it was cool and it was exciting and it was adrenaline, and it was just, crazy and fun. But as time goes on, as you start having kids, and you start, having babies, and then you start seeing, oh man, there's towns that get hit by tornadoes, and kids are affected, families are affected, people get hurt. And it really started making me realize more and more about the aspect of warning people. When you see a tragedy happen, to a family, it breaks your heart, especially if you've got kids like you.
Yeah, absolutely. It changes. It's weird how your perspective changes.
Completely changes so now it's a whole lot more, it's a whole lot less of the adrenaline and the fun and the craziness, and a whole lot more of, we're kind of on a mission here to warn people. Me and Amy both feel like that we have been called by God to do this, and we feel
Absolutely.
like that's what God has called us to do. So to go out there and to try and keep people safe and to try and warn people, about the storm that's coming, and not only that, but to tell people along the way, God has given us a certain amount of notoriety here and a public platform to share our faith. So over the years, we've tried our best to use our public platform to share Christ with people.
And you have. You've done that. You do that almost every single chase, every single event. I was thinking, just as you're saying that, speaking of a platform, you got this big following on Facebook. And as that started to build, and then these Facebook Lives started coming out, you were a pioneer in using Facebook Live in a way that hadn't been done. Do you remember the Mark Zuckerberg tie-in? And he mentioned you guys in some way, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was because no one had been out chasing storms using this Facebook Live in that way to reach people. Now it happens all the time. Everyone's streaming live, and they do that with social media, but Val Castor in Oklahoma had this big following that it reached the attention of the heads of Facebook.
And I'd kind of forgotten about all of that.
Made me too till you were saying that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and when they first started coming out with the Facebook Lives, I'm like, what is this? Is this really gonna? And Amy, said, yeah, we need to do this, and let's start putting this on, and okay, let's do it. How do we do it? And we just winged it, and got on there and started talking. But I think, and this wasn't the very first one we did, but it was one of the first ones, and it was the Dodge City tornadoes. I believe it was 2016.
That sounds right.
That all of a sudden we look up, and on our Facebook Live, I mean, I don't know how many tornadoes, probably a dozen tornadoes we saw. Some of them with 2 on the ground at the same time. Some of them really, really close, just big tornadoes. And we look down and we've got 2,000 people watching.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, where'd all those people come from? You know, and so after that we started, you know, really pushing it and doing it more and more and more.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how it got started with us. I mean, you know, it was one of those things, we'll just try it, it's new. And another thing that we have found as well is that also, we found that helps in giving people warning that might not be able to watch television. So in other words, on that day, let's say in Southwest Kansas, we noticed there was a lot of people watching from Southwest Kansas.
Right.
Well, how did they know about us? How did they find it?
Sure, they can't get Channel 9.
Right,
Right.
They don't get Channel 9. And then, you know, there's been some days we've been in the Texas Panhandle, other days, you know, down in near Bowie, Texas, there was a tornado, and there's a whole lot of people watching from that part of Texas that didn't have access to anything else, that were watching and saying, hey, and they texted us later or emailed us or something and said, hey, thank you guys for putting this on live because we had no idea it was coming, and you know, you might have just saved our lives.
Right.
You know, and we were able to call a friend and get them out of the way of the tornado, that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a good use for that.
Absolutely, and you guys do it in a way that at the time no one else was doing. So people from across the country were jumping on, like, whoa, I can see this guy, you know, from Oklahoma.
And now everybody's
crazy.
doing it.
And now, yeah, it's a very common, very popular thing. When you think about giving warnings and the future, you come from having no phones, going out with the ham radio to where we are now.
Yeah.
Now AI is coming in and doing all of what AI is doing. What do you think the warning's going to look like, or advances, or what do you hope happens going forward?
You know, our hope obviously is that the warning gets better and better and better, and you get more and more lead time. That's our hope. You know, radar, and you know, David has like the best radar you can even get at a television station. So technology has come, and the remote sensing, and the fact that this has just come about over the last few years as well, being able to have the debris detector too.
Right.
I mean, you know about that. You're very good. I'm listening to you, and as Lacey and David are saying, you know, there's debris, this is a confirmed tornado, and I would say like 99% of the time, you're right.
The
on that.
technology has come so far.
It has come so far, but you're always going to need eyes and ears in the field.
Right.
That ground truth, someone to watch it and say, you know, it's not quite on the ground yet, it's trying, or it looks like it's going to, or it's not, you know, those kind of things. So there's always going to be the need for the storm chaser. You know, as far as the warnings go, you know, we've made pretty big leaps, but I'm not seeing that it's going to be just astronomical leaps in lead time or anything like that. You can only have so much lead time because, I mean, what do? You go back before the storm even forms,
right.
Say we're going to have a storm that's going to form here and it's going to produce a tornado. That's not possible. At least now it's not possible.
Yeah. It's good right now, hoping it gets better for sure.
It is good right now, and one thing also I can tell you is that I've got friends in other parts of the country. My brother lives down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and everybody that I talk to says that there is nobody out there that's as good as we are right here in the Oklahoma City market at forecasting and coverage and letting people know that it's coming. And that's you guys right there in a nutshell.
That's forecasting, but that's the team. That's the team of everybody. It's, you know, the tracker's out there for sure, and you guys are out there. A lot of times you're getting into position before we're even coming in on our shift. I mean, you guys work the long hours. We go home, you're still driving in from Clinton. I mean, you know, from wherever it is.
And we love it too.
We all love it, and we love working together. I was just thinking while you were talking, just fun for viewers, what do your grandkids call you?
Grandpa.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
See, I'm not a trendy guy, you know. I'm not going to be called anything fancy or new or trendy. Grandpa, that
Grandpa,
works.
that's so sweet.
Yeah. And Amy's granny.
Whenever you're out in public, what's the number one thing that viewers want to talk to you guys about?
So, and I love them all.
Sure.
You know, it's so much fun talking to people. We'll stop at a gas station or something like that, and they'll come up and they'll the first thing that they say now is, thank you guys for what you're doing. I mean, it's heartwarming, you know, just to hear that. I'm like, it kind of humbles me because, you know, we get out there and we're doing it because we love it and we like to keep people safe, but to have people notice it and say thank you for what you're doing, that has turned into the number one thing that people are saying right now. The next thing that people say is they want to tell me about their tornado experiences.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm all ears unless there's a tornado about to happen and I've got to go.
Right.
So if you're out there and I do that, just, you know, keep in mind that there's a tornado coming and I've got to go. I'm not blowing you off. So they'll tell me about their tornado experience, you know, and about back in whatever year it was, about what happened, and it's all interesting. And I always ask them, okay, where was it? You know, what did you see? Tell me about it. I always like to hear that. And then probably the third thing is they want to ride with me.
Of course.
They'll say,
how do I go?
Can we go with you? I'm like, you know, we used to let people come, but now insurance is kind of taken over. And
the
they
world of
won't let us do
insurance.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Little slightly risky.
So
they don't say get Val on the Getner? Is that not? People say that to me. They want to talk to me about.
People say that to me all the time. Still, get Val on the Getner. There's one guy at my sponsor, Bob Hurley. I'll call him up, and first thing he'll say is, "Talk to me, Val. Where are you? Talk to me, Val." You know.
That's incredible. Was there anything else you want to talk about? We've got all the time in the world to chat about chasing, to talk about weather, to talk about your experiences, certain tornadoes you've seen or winter weather events you've covered. Anything that stands out that you're like, man, that was a crazy day?
Well, there's a lot of things,
You've seen so much.
stand out. I can tell you that, you know, recently, I mean, there's been so many close calls, right?
Yeah.
Close calls, you know, that's things that stick out in my mind most. But Shawnee, 2 years ago, I guess it was, they got hit by a pretty large, but maybe a high F2,
right?
I want to say, tornado. So it was night, okay?
On I-40.
We were on I-40, you remember.
Oh, I remember.
Kickapoo Bridge.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Brandon was 5 or 6 miles southwest of us. We couldn't see a tornado yet, right? We knew that, you know, the rotation was getting stronger. Brandon caught a brief glimpse of it and then lost it.
Yep.
He said, yeah, it looks like it's coming down. It's pretty good size. And then he lost it. He was behind the rain and everything, so it was going to be a while. So we positioned ourselves right there where if it would continue coming the way it was supposed to come, it would go just barely east of us, right? So we were looking south, dark, it was rain-wrapped, 10 o'clock at night, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, the last 2 tornadoes, right?
Started going the opposite direction.
Left.
Yep.
They turned left towards the tail end.
Yep.
And said, now, if this one turns left, so I better have an escape route. And we always think about escape routes, especially when we got something coming at us. So I looked at the map and I found I've got 3 escape routes. I could go north 2 miles and then east as far as I wanted to go, or west. I could also go east. I could also go north from there 8 miles on what looked like a good road. So I already had my escape routes. We're sitting there waiting for it. Amy's getting a little bit, you know, okay, so how are we going to know it before it's on us?
Yeah.
How are we going to know?
What's your indication going to be?
And I said, well, we're going to see power flashes,
Yeah.
okay? So watch for the power flashes. I had my window rolled down, so we're watching for power flashes. You know, it's raining, it's not too windy yet, and then the power goes off. Completely barks.
black.
I'm like, oh no, there's not going to be any power flashes right now.
Yeah.
So she's like, how do we know it's about here? Listen for it. All right, so roll down your window a little bit and listen for it. So David, I was on the phone with David doing a phoner, okay, and as I was talking to him,
Live on the air.
Live on the air, I'm starting to see structure. So coming up from the south, okay, we're looking south, and I'm starting to see it kind of a lip of a wall cloud, you know, but it's a little bit to our east. And about that time, I look over to Shawnee Mall, and there's debris streaming, okay, across I-40, stuff blowing. I'm like, oh, I think it's just about here. And about that time, the wind picks up instantly from the northeast at maybe 70 or 80, okay, and just starts blowing. I'm like, David, I got to go.
Yeah.
So we turned around on the ridge and punch it, okay? And
Back
so,
west.
North.
North. Okay.
Going straight north, Kickapoo, that's the road. So I'm going straight north, and about this time, trees are like bending over, okay?
Yeah.
In that little wooded area north of the mall. Branches are coming off, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be just right behind us, close.
Yeah.
And my truck dies.
It just died?
I have no power.
You run out of gas?
No, I had plenty of gas. The lights are still on. I could see it just wouldn't go. I'm like, what is going on? And I don't know what happened. There's a lot of lightning right around the wall of that tornado.
Yeah.
Flashes here and there. And I'm thinking, I'm still coasting at 45.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, what do I do? And so I'm praying, obviously.
Sure.
And so I thought, okay, so I've got one chance. And the truck has never died like that before. So I think I got one chance. It's probably the computer. I'm gonna have to stop. I'm gonna have to cycle the ignition. I'm gonna have to put it in park. So I did that. Stopped, put it in park. I mean, the trees and wind is trees are just like touching the ground. And so I turn it off, and I turn it back on, and it started.
Oh my gosh,
And I'm
best
punching
feeling
it.
in the world.
I'm like, thank you, Lord. And so we took off, and I took my west option. So we had to go about 1.5 miles north from there, and then went west, and we went about 2 miles, and then we could see it to the east, right? And it was like this. We saw one wall first, and then the second wall on it. I'm like, okay, so we got out of that. I say, it really is on the ground.
It was on the ground.
It was on the ground. And we went back the next day and went to that very spot we were, and there was a car flipped over on the off-ramp.
Oh my gosh.
Power lines are down. It squarely, it was right in the middle of the path.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And your truck died
It
due
died.
to computer malfunction. That's wild.
Yeah.
What was Amy doing?
I've got scars
I'm
on the
sure.
side of my shoulder.
I'm sure. Wow. And that's just one of many of your stories, of your...
One of many.
Yeah.
There's so many others. El Reno Day.
Oh,
that
man.
was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a crazy day. And then, the big F5s that came through more and all of that. Yeah, we got other stories.
Sure. From every one of them.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been actually hit probably by, I want to say around maybe 4, possibly 5 small ones before. Just went right over us, kind of popped out of the rain and surprised us. And the worst that's ever happened was we were pushed into the ditch, a couple times. We had a telephone pole fall pretty near us. We had one of the big round bales go rolling across the road right in front of us
crazy.
one time. So it's crazy stuff. God looks out for us.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
you got to get that warning out,
That's right.
And when it comes to the close calls with tornadoes, there are so many. That's just one element, though, of what you chase. You're out there with wildfires. The wildfires this year were absolutely insane.
I know.
Something that we'd really never seen before with how quickly those flames were moving, how many fires we had. Do you want to talk about the fire day back in March?
Yeah,
How
the
crazy
one where
that
Stillwater
was.
got hit.
Stillwater got hit, and then again, the dry line came through. Was it Monday night? That was a Friday. And Monday night, the dry line came through. You were on a fire out near Sweetwater
Oh, yeah, that's right.
with the morning show.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty bad. So on Stillwater, we were out west. The first fire that went up, and it was a big one, too, and it was out by, I want to say, Crawford or somewhere out west. We were on that one to start with.
Right.
And then we started hearing about, the fires going on, threatening Stillwater. So we started coming back and made it back to Stillwater. And by that time, the fire was already in the west side of town.
Yeah.
Burning, houses and stuff were on fire. And so, we were, just going from place to place. And, we were live streaming. You talk about the live stream at the same time. And we got some friends that live in a neighborhood on the southwest side of Stillwater, kind of out on the edge of town. And there was many houses on fire. And they wanted us to go check and make sure their house, was not burned.
Sure.
And so we went over there. And it was fine. The houses around them were burning. The next door neighbor's house was on fire, but theirs didn't get burned. So, we were showing all this on Facebook Live, and we started getting other requests,
Go check on different places.
Go check on other places. So we did. We would drive around And so many people later, even you talk about people seeing them at convenience stores and stuff, thanking us for that.
Yeah.
You know, thank you because
they had evacuated or didn't know the situation.
That's right. Everybody was evacuated. And you know, probably the craziest thing that happened to us that we saw that night was the time the ammunition went off. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, we were.
That house was fully engulfed.
It was. I mean, and this house was fully, going up fast, and all of a sudden I heard a gunshot.
Yeah.
And we had our windows down, like, pow, and I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? And then another one. And then, like a machine gun.
It did, sound just like a machine gun.
And I figured, there's got to be somebody's, big ammunition stash in their house going off. And people started, messaging, saying, get out of there, get out of there.
You realize what's happening.
Yeah, get out of there.
In the line of fire, literally.
Right, and, the thing about it is if you got ammunition, it doesn't have a gun barrel to go down.
Sure.
And so it's not going to be as lethal, obviously. It's just going to ping, and you might get hit by shell casings. And I think we got hit by a shell casing in the side of the truck. Something hit us when that stuff was going off. But, we backed off a little bit, obviously. But that's never happened to us before.
There's just so many stories like that. That's what's crazy. If you start talking about a different day, those things come flooding back of the things you've seen, the things that you've encountered.
That's right. And you talk about wildfires. The day in northwest Oklahoma when the road grader, the man on the road grader, got stuck in the ditch, and we just happened to be right there at the right place. Drove right up to him. I could see what was going to happen. He almost waited too late.
Yep.
But we drove right up to him. He runs and jumps in, and we pull back, and embers are flying through my cab.
Yep.
Burning embers is coming in my window and going out Amy's window, and flames are lapping over the hood. I was in David's truck that day,
right?
By the way.
He appreciated that.
Yeah. So a lot of crazy stuff, yeah.
And then ice storms. You're pulling people out.
Ice storms, power lines.
People.
Yeah, we got video of power lines in El Reno, coming down all around us from the ice, and there's so many things, pulling people out and getting people out of floods and stuff.
Floods have been, absolutely crazy. Are there any other stories that you're like, man, that are coming to mind?
I'm sure when I leave, there's others that are.
Sure.
But if we could be here
we'll
for
have you back.
3 hours.
We could.
Yeah, we could, but we're not.
Well, we'll do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds
we'll do
good.
it again when you think of them. We're going to get Amy on as well.
She would enjoy that.
Her perspective is fascinating.
Yeah, she's got a different perspective than I do, and she brings, the female aspect of it. She's
the mother and the grandma.
A mother and a grandma. And I'm telling you, she does a phenomenal job. You think, is it possible for one person to chase by themselves? It's possible, but it's really not feasible.
Sure.
She's got her jobs that she do, and she's getting very good at reading the radar. On those days when we're having, like the QLCS type tornadoes, spin-ups.
Very quickly.
She's very good at finding those. I can't look at the radar and drive at the same time. She does a great job with the camera. So she's my partner.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you. We're grateful for you. It was an honor to have you as our first guest.
It was an honor to be the first guest. Thank you for doing that. This is something new for me as well.
Yeah, we hope it works out really well. We're excited for the future, and we hope that you will join us for next week.